That is right, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally back here to September 20th, 2014. And this is the Agora Underground here on the Voluntary Virtues Network. As you know, we are live here every Saturday, 8 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am Comrade Dick, your host for the Agora Underground. We got a new guest here today, acquaintance for the show. Tag along, Steve.
Hello, Steve. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Steve and I have been talking about agorism and anarcho-capitalism for quite some bits now, and he's on board with a lot of the philosophies and still has questions and wanted to stick around and read along to the classic New Libertarian Manifesto. This is Konkin's expansion, if you will, on Rothbard's Libertarian Manifesto, and essentially is an expansion to that because a lot of valid points were made in the Libertarian Manifesto by Rothbard. The fact that traditionally the free market stance is the traditional left, at least according to how the French political system was set up, and that the socialists took over by using those terms, and really the origin of a lot of the revolutions, right? The American Revolution, and how it was a libertarian, a liberal revolution. People were fighting for liberal rights. Right, things that would be considered back in those days as very liberal, right? You want freedom to assembly, freedom to worship God however you see fit, freedom to own your property. These were liberal concepts back when the king owned and dictated all those things. When the Pope, right, dictated your conscience. So, but so essentially, this is just Konkin's little expansion here, and it's got some good intros, some prefaces from Konkin that we'll skip over. That I highly encourage you guys getting the copy off of Amazon or something, and whatever, getting the copy off somewhere, and it's online as well. And definitely check it out. And we'll start here ASAP to get it going. So I think we have this option too where you can send in questions, but I don't think anybody's live at the moment. So, but that's open too as well. So but let's start here. Statism, section 1. Statism, our condition. We are coerced by our fellow human beings. Since they have the ability to choose to do otherwise, our condition need not be thus. Coercion is immoral, inefficient, and unnecessary for human life and fulfillment. Those who wish to be supine as their neighbors prey on them are free to so choose. This manifesto is for those who choose otherwise, to fight back. To combat coercion, one must understand it. More importantly, one must understand what one is fighting for as much as what one is fighting against. Blind reaction goes in all directions negative to the source of oppression and disperses opportunity. Pursuit of a common goal focuses the opponents and allows formation of coherent strategy and tactics. Very, very good point, right? So many of us these days know what we're against. We don't like Monsanto, we don't like chemtrails, we don't like the fact that state-run terrorism is being portrayed and the police state's on the rise, and whether you deny, global warming or not, it's kind of regardless of the point, we're all kind of pissed off about the same things, right? War, the police state, taxation, and yeah. So, but we're against things, but we don't really, few of us actually understand enough to promote something.
Yeah.
Isn't that
a problem doing that for some reason? Need more people to wake up.
Yeah, people are quick to call out the evils of certain things, but are very slow to give any solutions, give any practical solutions to it. So that's a very valid point there. Let's see here. Diffuse coercion is optimally handled by local, immediate self-defense. So true. Though the market may develop large-scale businesses for protection and restoration, random threats of violence can only be dealt with roots of mysticism and delusions planted deep in the victim's thinking. Requires a grand strategy and a climactic point of historical singularity, revolution. Such an institution of coercion, centralized immorality, directing theft and murder and coordinating oppression on a scale inevitably inconceivable by random criminality exists. It is the mob of mobs, the gang of gangs, conspiracy of conspiracies. It has murdered more people in a few recent years than all the deaths in history before that time. It has stolen in a few recent years more than all the wealth produced in history to that time. It has diluted for its survival more minds in a few recent years than all the irrationality of history to that time. Our enemy, the state. Harsh words, right?
Yeah, very harsh.
Pretty
very
heavy.
True.
Harsh but true, yeah, exactly. And definitely sobering. I mean, it's crazy how we turn a blind eye to the state, right? This monstrosity of a demon, if you will, to use theological terms, that's just ravaging humanity, right? I mean, just destroying. Yeah. I mean, what has killed more people than the state? We know this. I mean, why can't people see that? In the 20th century alone, war has murdered more than all previous deaths. Taxes and inflation have stolen more than all previously produced. And the political lies, propaganda, and above all, education, have twisted more minds than all this superstition prior. Yet, through all the deliberate confusion, and that's an interesting word,
Which one?
Obfuscation? I think that might be a typo. Unless it's some very medieval.
Obfuscation.
Yeah. ABFUSCAT. Obfuscation. By context, we're going to take that as confusion. General confusion. The thread of reason has developed fibers of resistance to be woven in the rope of execution for the state. That is libertarianism. Where the state divides and conquers its opposition, libertarianism unites and liberates. Where the state beclouds, libertarianism clarifies. Where the state conceals, libertarianism uncovers. Where the state pardons, libertarianism accuses. Libertarianism elaborates an entire philosophy from one simple premise. Initiatory violence, or its threat, coercion, is wrong, immoral, evil, bad, supremely impractical, etc. And is forbidden. Nothing else is. This is so true. Just because, right, certain things aren't according to your moral standards, right, doesn't mean you should forbid them by force, right? We know this as libertarians. Few people understand this as well. They think that everything they dislike should be banned by force, right? I don't like pot and pot heads, so they should
feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Or I don't like cigarettes. Businesses should be forced to quit having people smoke cigarettes in their businesses. Because I don't like businesses. It's like, really, like that's your only solution there. To can't you just go to another restaurant, one that doesn't have smoking in it? I mean, that's
you really have to be that picky, seriously.
Well, that too, right? Freaking people that got something up their schwazoo all day and can't even But I mean, and regardless, I'm sure there's going to be restaurants that aren't going to allow for people smoking in them. If you allow for freedom, right? If you allow for liberty, if you allow for property rights to exist, people to have their businesses and run them in the way that they want them, right?
Yeah.
Hell, if I want to have cigarette smoking in my business, like, who are you to stop me? Regardless if you're the state or not. I mean, this is just crazy. So yeah, I mean, nothing else is forbidden. It may be impractical. So other things may be immoral, at least according to religion, which that's fine if you want to voluntarily submit to those standards, but you can't force that upon other people. Check out, Walter Block. We all seen that. Walter Block, his what is it? The defending the undefendable, where he defends things that people will normally be like, well, why are you defending the crackhead, or why are you defending the sex worker, right? Oh, so you must promote these things, and it's like, no, we're not promoting these things. We're just saying that force and violence shouldn't be used against people that are engaging in these activities.
Yeah.
So in some ways, you're defending the undefendable because you're excusing it, but you're not promoting it because it's not the best for human beings to engage in some activities. Even though it's illegal, is it the best for you? Is it the healthiest, wisest choice? No, but you're free to mess up, right? Make mistakes. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of libertarianism. Libertarianism, as developed to this point, discovered the problem and defined the solution: the state versus the market. The market is the sum of all voluntary human action. If one acts non-coercively, one is part of the market. Thus did economics become part of libertarianism. And people would argue there, how is human interaction part of the market?
Yeah.
And people would have a messed up definition or conception of the market. You tell them market, free market, and they think, Mr. Burns, right? Right? They think the Monopoly guy, the Monopoly man, or the duck jumping into the, right?
Yeah.
The big pile of gold. You might get in that door. It's just annoying stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, so economics is the exchange of any good or service. Any good or service, that is economics. Trade, any form of trade, that is the market. That is the market. That is the collective, if you will. The only collective, right? I mean, other than the family. I mean, it's a very valid point that Konkin himself, illustrated. So, I mean, it's important to keep that in mind, that the market is just an extension of everyone's choices, right? I mean, people misdefine words all day.
You have to sign any papers or contracts, do any of this at all?
Do any what or what?
Marketing, free market.
Oh yeah, well.
No, they do that at all.
Well, I mean, you might sign a contract with the people you're doing business with.
But not connected to a company or corporation or anything like that at all. Just the individual. That's it.
Well, I mean, you can have a central organization. What do you mean by that?
Like outside the house, the cops can't come over. You don't need a permit to do this. You have to have a contract. No permit, no license.
Well, yeah, see, and there we go. Yeah, exactly. There we go. Exactly. See, that's one thing would be a license or a tax or a regulation, a permit, and another thing would be a contract where it's like, hey, you sold me this car, and I'm paying you. I'm paying you.
Can't get stolen if I can rob you.
Yeah. Or hey, I'm gonna work for you for this much an hour or whatever. That's a contract, right?
Yep.
So, where were we here? So we're about to go into how expansive of a philosophy libertarianism is. We just covered how economics is part of libertarianism. Libertarianism investigated the nature of man to explain his rights deriving from non-coercion. It immediately followed that man, woman, child, Martian, etc., had an absolute right to this life and other property, and no other. Thus, did objective philosophy become part of libertarianism? Philosophy, right? The grand questions of life. What are we? Where do we come from? What is our role? What is right and wrong? Right? What is thinking? What is true? What is reason? What is logic? So he's pointing out here that since these things are self-derived, natural rights are derived from reason, then he's pointing out that it's objectivism, is logically part of libertarianism, became part of it. Libertarianism asks why society was not libertarian now and found the state, its ruling class, its camouflage, and the heroic historians striving to reveal the truth. Thus did revisionist history become part of libertarianism. Very important point here is that, I mean, Steve, who writes history, right?
Who writes history? The ones in charge.
The ones in charge, exactly, right? Who controls the present, controls the past. Who controls the past, controls the future, right? So we know that they manipulate history to serve their propaganda, their PR, right? The state's PR campaign. Yeah. So revisionism is going back in history, looking for documents, looking for letters, looking for historical verifiable truth, just to reveal more of the truth situation. This is why libertarians recognize Abe Lincoln as a tyrant. Most of the populace recognizes Abe Lincoln as as a savior, right?
Yeah,
the savior
savior
of the republic.
slaves, the republic, yeah.
So it's just very interesting indeed how all these things. I mean, this is just getting into the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how expansive this beautiful whole construct is, right? And this is why I encourage each and every one of you to get into it because there's so many branches of it. He continues on here, Conkin. Psychology, especially as developed by Thomas Sayes as counter-psychology, was embraced by libertarians seeking to free themselves from both state restraint and self-imprisonment. Seeking an art form to express the horror potential of the state and extrapolate the many possibilities of liberty, libertarianism found science fiction already in the field. Really good 2 points. As far as the psychology one, I'm not familiar with Thomas Sayes. That's something I have to get more into.
Yeah.
But as far as the self-imprisonment and state restraint and casting blame on yourself all the time, psychologically, I'm guessing he probably had a lot of ideas leaning towards, forgiving yourself and not putting these morals on top of your conscience, on top of your psyche that actually have nothing to do with morality at all, right? And then it's really badass how sci-fi is in this, right? I mean, we're seeing technology breaking the state rules every day.
Nanotechnology.
Yeah, with nanotech coming up, I mean, we can augment our reality, and if you can hack those nanobots, and I mean, this is cypherpunks coming to life, right? Where it's like the Matrix, it's like, or it's like, imagine a future world where dystopia, right? Yeah. Where you're using tablets to hack into the system to identify. There is no what?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon, yeah. But you're using tablets to hack into the system, right, and turn off certain cameras, or you're encrypting your emails, your communication, and you're encrypting your Bitcoin account.
Encrypting your life, pretty much.
Encrypting your life, exactly, yeah. I mean, this is really we're going to see a massive split between the hive mind here pretty soon, I'm thinking, and people that are just, swept up through the mainstream, through the state propaganda machine, through the state technology, state-owned technology, and those that are making the steps to, emancipate themselves technologically, through obvious innovation and encryption techniques, and, just watching your back. I mean, check your left, check your right, check your back. And sci-fi is just so badass. I mean, think about it, man. If you can think about it, right, it's possible. And
yep, exactly. Like right? Star Trek and Star Wars. Look at the image it portrays and the and everything. That we can get along together in their image and their mind, species around the galaxy. But here on the planet, there's race segregation. I mean, isn't that baffle your mind? That people in the '60s thought of this, and it's 2014 now, and it's still almost the same. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's actually well, as far as segregation goes, that's an interesting topic. That's an interesting topic. Not to get on a total side rant here, but I mean, national anarchism would argue, that people tend to naturally want to associate with people of the same race or people of the same religion, people of the same, ideas or whatever, same lifestyle, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? So like,
sure.
Yeah. So I mean. But what do you mean by segregation?
Segregation as in the minds, like you can't get along because I don't like what you like, that right there. Because it's a stereotype, what you see on TV, the ads and whatnot, demographics. In the future, there's we don't need for that. Like a Minority Report thing happens, if you walk into a mall and it sees your face, it'll have a photo of you,
right.
Hologram of you. In the future, that's going to happen. And it seems to me that that's the only way that in the future we can get along all together with this, future like that. But that's a really bad, to me it's also really bad too.
Interesting. Yeah, that dichotomy of the total surveillance state and freedom, right?
Yep.
That constant battle. Yeah, that's very true, man. That's very true. I mean, this kind of really might highlight why we need to get rid of the state, so even more more efficiently, more quickly, right? I mean,
Yep.
A.C.T, because with the technology that they have now, I mean, do you really want to put all that knowledge in the hand of a few?
Yeah, guys that have 20 years ahead of us on technology. Yeah, I mean, they're the ones with the truth right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yes and no. I mean, we know that they got stuff that's in the future, right? We know they got what trillions of dollars missing every year, right?
Yeah.
At least a trillion missing every year. Missing whatever black projects. So I mean, I'm sure they got technology that we can't even fathom. But at the same time, they don't have the manpower, right? They don't have
the creativity,
the enforcers, the creativity. There you go.
Definitely do
Do they even have the will? Right? A lot of them might be. I mean, they're pretty debauched people. I mean, rulers tend to be pretty.
Did they work hard for that technology?
Drunken.
Did they steal it? Did they get it? If you didn't work hard for it, you're not gonna have the will to use it to its full potential. Unless you coerce people to actually use it to its full potential.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts, dude. It's nuts. But you got a little sci-fi. It's like if you can picture a stateless society and imagine an efficient way and a natural way that might function, then you're dealing with sci-fi, and we all know that most sci-fi, 99.999% of sci-fi becomes reality, ladies and gentlemen, becomes history. So he continues on here from the political, economic, philosophical, psychological, historical, and artistic realms. The partisans of liberty saw a whole, integrating their resistance with others elsewhere, and they came together as their consciousness became aware. Thus did libertarians become a movement. The libertarian movement looked around and saw the challenge. Everywhere our enemy, the state, from the ocean's depth, past arid outposts, to the lunar surface, in every land, people, tribe, nation, an individual mind. And the individual mind, right? Yeah, so true. Some sought immediate alliance with other opponents of the power elite to overthrow the state's present rulers. Some sought immediate confrontation with the state's agents. Some pursued collaboration with those in power who offered less oppression for votes. And some dug in for long-term enlightenment of the populace to build and develop the movement. Everywhere, a libertarian alliance of activists sprang up. The state's higher circles were not about to yield their plunder and restore property to their victims at the first sign of opposition. The first counterattack came from anti-principles already planted by the corrupt intellectual caste. Defeatism, retreatism, minarchy, collaborationism, gradualism, monocentrism, and reformism, including accepting state office to improve the states. All of these anti-principles, deviations, heresies, self-destructive, contradictory tenets, etc., will be dealt with later. Worst of all is the partyarchy, the anti-concept of pursuing libertarian ends through statist means, especially political parties. It's pretty telling right there, pretty concrete as far as what Kant is trying to say. And we've been pointing out that reality through this show, through all these episodes, is that it's consistency. I mean, consistency made us libertarians, consistency made us anarcho-capitalists, and consistency is going to make you an anarchist. You can't give the system any taxes. You know what I mean? Get out of here, boy. Yeah, it's rough having a little chihuahua. It's all just horny and hungry all the time. But it's just going nuts, man. Going nuts here as far as I mean, consistency, ladies and gentlemen. We can't use politics and reform, and these people stole our labor, continue to steal our labor. These people steal votes, right? We saw this with the Scottish vote for independence.
Oh, they're really against that. The Scots were really against that, but for some reason, it passed. I mean,
no, well, it failed, right?
Yeah. What passed was what they wanted. The government wanted. stuff. So people felt, but they really did feel. They know it was rigged. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it was rigged
It was
big
rigged.
time. I mean, there's all it's all covered on YouTube. But I mean, that's the whole point. Is even if you vote, I mean, Mitt Romney admitted the fact that they had to steal the election from Ron Paul. And even if Ron Paul would have gotten elected as the Republican candidate, they would have stole that and given it to Obama, even if he won the national vote. So I mean, you think they're really going to give away power? And then even if Ron Paul got in power, they would find a way to, either he's directly involved somehow, right? Or if you're less conspiratorial, right? Let's just go with just tactics of the state, right? Either they kill him, blame it on his policies, his open border policies, right?
Yep.
Or they have a false flag and blame libertarianism on as the reason for the false flag, as the reason for why the terrorists got in here. I mean, you can always see the right wingers, all these chicken hawks, using Obama's war stance and Obama's war pigs mentality as if he was weak on in foreign policy. Give me a break, come on! And these neocons are just asking for more bombings, more guns, more war,
More money in your pockets.
Yeah, dude, for the military-industrial complex.
Money, right?
You need to take it to the streets tomorrow. You need to take it to the streets tonight, right? Make some flyers.
Yeah.
Talk to people. Yeah, do it nonstop. A lot of people agree. We need to encourage them to seek, philosophy and seek the expansion of the conscious, not mind, towards liberty. So down with all these, counterproductive, right? Counterproductive approaches, defeatism, right? We all feel defeated at times. We all want to retreat. Minarchy. Oh, let's just have a small government. Oh, let's collaborate with people with opposing principles in ourselves just to get the message out more. Yeah, that's going to work. Yeah, let's collaborate with people that disagree with ISIS, right? Let's collaborate with the Syrian rebels to defeat ISIS. Yeah, I know.
John McCain said, I know these people. He said that multiple times.
Hold it down for a second. I want to let this guy out. But yeah, keep talking about that. What happened with that?
Oh, Richard had to go take Chiquito out. That dog is always hungry.
You haven't been holding it down?
No.
You haven't been holding it down?
I just told him that, hey, you go outside taking Chiquito out.
Oh,
dog is hungry.
No, you were the ISIS man.
Oh, yeah, the ISIS thing? Oh, yeah, John McCain. Yeah, he got flustered on Fox News with Sean Hannity. They caught him in a lie big time. His face, the facial expression. He knows these people. He's seen his photos on the internet of him posing with them.
Oh, yeah, I saw that footage as well. Yeah. He it was a classic Freudian slip, right? Yeah. Oh, I know ISIS. Oh, I know him personally. And then he froze up and switched I forget what he switched the conversation to, but obviously he didn't intend to say that. But we have pictures of him meeting the rebels, right, in Syria, meeting the separatists in Russia and Ukraine.
Oh yeah.
Or Ukraine, sorry, Ukraine. Yeah, so down with these gradualism, right, and collaborationism and reformism. Yeah, we can reform the mob. Let's reform the cartel. They'll listen to us, I'm sure of it. So he continues. A libertarian party was the second counterattack of the state, unleashed on the fledgling libertarians. First as a ludicrous oxymoron, then as an invading army. The third counterattack was an attempt by one of the 10 richest capitalists in the United States to buy the major libertarian institutions, not just the party, and run the movement as other plutocrats run all other political parties in the capitalist states. He's referring here to the Koch brothers, buying up what Cato and Reason and contributing a lot to the libertarian. Which we've covered that. See, we're reading this because we covered Rothbard's article on his criticisms of this, and so this is one of them here. Is that isn't it good that we have rich capitalists investing into the liberty movement? I mean, is that such a bad thing?
Can they tell you why they're investing so much?
Because
It's secret.
regardless, I mean, well, I mean, sure. I mean, the statists, the socialists, and the control freaks argue that, oh, well, their Koch brothers are investing because they want to deregulate business so they can get away with stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, as we covered in, I think it was on this other show that I'm doing, Truth Exposed with Cuddy Rowe, we covered the fact that, the Koch brothers have won like 700 awards from the Obama administration itself, a lot of it from the Obama administration, on, environmental awards, standards, worker rights awards and standards. So they're not like these exploitative capitalists that everyone portrays them as. They're winning awards for their environmental, how they treat the environment with their waste and how they treat their workers, right, and their working environment. So I'm kind of split on that one. I don't know. I personally don't know. I haven't followed the money trail, if you will, and seen whether the Koch brothers are getting subsidized in any way or
breadcrumbs.
Yeah, or whether they're
nasty.
It's more like big ass loaves at this point. But sorry about that, folks. It seems to be a really scattered here episode, but we're getting some info down. That's the important thing. We're getting the info across. Yeah, we're doing it. So the degree of success those statist counterattacks had in corrupting libertarianism led to a splintering of the movement left and the despairing paralyzation of others. As disillusionment grew with libertarianism, the delusion sought answers to this new problem. The state within, as well as the state without. How do we avoid being used by the state and its power elite? That is, they ask, how can we avoid deviations from the path of liberty when we know there is more than one? The market has many paths to production and consumption of a product, and none are perfectly predictable. So even if one tells us how to get from here, statism, to there, liberty, how do we know that's the best way? Already, some are drudging up the old strategies of movements long dead with other goals. New paths are indeed being offered back to the state. Betrayal, inadvertent or planned, continues. It need not. While no one can predict the sequence of steps which will utterly achieve a free society for free-willed individuals, one can eliminate in one slash all those which will not advance liberty, and applying the principles of the market unwaveringly will map out a terrain to travel. There is no one way, one straight line graph to liberty, to be sure, but there is a family of graphs, a space filled with lines, which will take the libertarian to his goal of a free society. And that space can be described. Once the goal is fixed and the path discovered, only the action of the individual to go from here to there remains. Above all else, this manifesto calls for that action. And we got our next section here, Agorism Our Goal. Thus far, we've broken down the state, and we know the state's the enemy, right? So what's the best way to deal with the state, right?
Go outside, spread the word, do what we're doing as much as you can. Stop buying so much stuff, focus on things that are making you happy, that make other people happy. You just got to make people want to know, want to learn.
Yeah, knowledge, definitely information, right? Spreading
knowledge,
education. Education seems to be a major part of it in the transition, right? People are already forming alliances and associations of free people. So these things are starting to take root. It's kind of an inevitable slide now at this moment, really. We just need to keep at it and just apply it more and more to our personal lives. I think this is really the key, right? Rothbard might have dissed on it by saying we're just trying to seek to make our lives personally better, but really happy people probably mean smaller government, right? Less coercion, less violence, less war. I think a lot of our problems lie from the fact that we're just not a happy people. We're not.
Less fear. Remember,
Yeah.
when you look outside, you see cops all over the place beating people up. You see all these towers show up, these portable camera towers police departments are using.
Mm-hmm.
And man, so your kids are living in fear. They're gonna think this is normal when they get our age.
Oh yeah, dude.
And they're living in fear. They're just gonna walk around, not gonna open up their mouth in public until they get into a building.
Right.
So with a group of friends that they know, they're not gonna be able to talk. Probably want to talk.
Yeah, dude. They're not gonna want to. So it's just nuts. We know that the state, is going to resort to even terrorism, as we've discussed. It will resort to creating enemies, boogeymen, in order to keep the populace in fear. This is something that I really don't know as of yet how we're going to overcome, personally.
Yep.
All they'll have to do is release a biochemical agent or have a false terrorist attack, as they usually do, or blow something up with a dirty bomb or something, and you got enough people, enough socialists, enough crybabies, enough, children asking for their parents to step in and take control and take, So how are we going to deal with that?
They tried this in Pearl Harbor and 9/11. If they do it again, people are going to know. So they're going to probably have. My view is going to have two crises happen. One's a distraction, the other one's a real crisis. They're going to try so hard to get us to believe one thing, and then later on make us look bad as an enemy. They're trying so hard to do this. They're trying so hard, but they keep failing. They keep getting sloppy.
Yeah.
Over and over again, and we find more footage in the past that has never been on TV. We find that people upload later on that they're trying horribly.
And all these youngsters could care less. That's what really bothers me. I mean, half of them are on welfare. Let's face it. Other half are in the military. You got a percentage in the military. You got a percentage on welfare. You got a percentage, just social workers. I talk to these young people. A lot of them are just social workers. They already, they want to work for the government. Like, we're reaching that critical mass place where, half the population is going to be directly dependent on the government in some way. I mean, this is a society holding itself hostage. This is the worst outcome that democracy could have led to, is one half of the population enslaving the other. And it's quite literally enslaving because we're the one paying taxes, not you guys. Right? Not you status workers.
Yeah.
Right, not you guys that are on welfare. You guys don't pay taxes. You guys didn't earn that money. Cops, bureaucrats, teachers, unionized teachers, syndicates. No, you didn't make that money voluntarily. That wasn't a market transaction. I'm sorry, Obamacare. Phone operator. You don't work for a market transaction and an exchange, right? You're lucky if you would you would have your job in a free market, because obviously you can't do what you do, under competitive terms, in a competitive situation. You can't compete. That's why you have to work for a monopoly that uses violence and uses force and coercion in order to get your revenue, you'll get your money. So you probably wouldn't survive in the free market. That's why you hate it so much. That's why you join the government, right? You hate the market. You've been told that that's
just like monopoly. Go to jail. There's a lot of jails in the United States. That's a lot of money there too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, that's why we have. I mean, the fact that we have such a big prison population, right, is in direct relation to our, the amount of people we got mooching off the system. I mean, when you think, it's right. When you think about it, I don't know how they would necessarily get money from it, just from caging people.
There's people that actually committed crimes on purpose to go to jail to get medical attention. I've actually seen stories and read stories about that. Like a homeless guy did something and he wanted medical attention. That to me, he should have actually got medical attention. But if somebody actually tries to hurt somebody, I need medical attention.
Oh yeah, right.
Committing a crime like that just to get something.
You want a sex change or something, you go to jail. Yeah, get yourself a sex change. Yeah, I heard about that guy, right? Yeah. All paid for by your tax dollars. Redistribution 101. It's fun, isn't it? So we got about 20 minutes. Should we read the next section, Steve? What do you think?
Yeah, next section.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man. It's not too long. Let's see here. Agorism, our goal. Section 2. in the New Libertarian Manifesto. Section 2 says, the basic principle which leads a libertarianism from statism to his free society is the same which the founders of libertarianism used to discover the theory itself. That principle is consistency. Thus, the consistent application of the theory of libertarianism to every action the individual libertarian takes creates the libertarian society. Many thinkers have expressed the need for consistency between means and ends, and not all were libertarians. Ironically, many statists have claimed inconsistency between laudable ends and contemptible means. Yet when their true ends of greater power and oppression were understood, their means are found to be quite consistent. It is part of the statist mystique to confuse the necessity of ends means consistency. It is thus the most crucial activity of the libertarian theorist to expose inconsistencies. Many theorists have done so admirably, but we have attempted and most failed to describe the consistent means and ends combination of libertarianism. Whether or not this manifesto is itself correct can be determined by the same principle. If consistency fails, then all within is meaningless. In fact, language is then gibberish and existence a fraud. This cannot be overemphasized. Should an inconsistency be discovered in these pages, then the consistent reformulation is new libertarianism, not what has been found in error. New libertarianism, agorism, cannot be discredited without liberty or reality or both being discredited. Only an incorrect formulation. Let us begin by citing our goal. What does a free society look like? Or at least a society as free as we can hope to achieve with our present understanding. Undoubtedly, the free society yet envisioned is that of Robert Lefebvre. All relations between people are voluntary exchanges, a free market. No one will injure another or trespass in any way. Of course, a lot more than statism would have to be eliminated for the individual consciousness of his society to exist. More damaging of all to this perfectly free society is its lack of mechanism of correction. All it takes is a handful of practitioners of coercion who enjoy their ill-gotten plunder and enough company to sustain them, and freedom is dead. Even if all are living free, one bite of the apple, one throwback, reading old history or rediscovering evil on his own, will unfree the perfect society. The next best thing to a free society is the libertarian society. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty, Thomas Jefferson, and it may be possible to have a small number of individuals in the marketplace ready to defend against sporadic aggression, or large numbers may retain sufficient knowledge and ability to use that knowledge in basic self-defense to deter random attacks. The course of never knowing who might be well versed in defense and eliminating the profitability of systematic violence initiation. Just if everyone had a gun. Right?
Yeah.
Right? That's exactly a really articulate scholarly way of saying that.
Yeah.
Even so, there remain two problems inordinarily difficult for this system of anarchy with spontaneous defense. First is the problem of defending those who are noticeably defenseless. This can be reduced by advanced technology to people who are quadriplegic morons, assuming that that will be solved by sufficient technology, and very young children who require constant attention anyways. Then there are those who for a brief time go defenseless, and the even rarer cases of those who are overwhelmed by violence initiators wishing to test their skills against a probably weaker foe. The last is more rare simply because of the high risk and low material return on investment. That was an economic joke.
Yeah. That's funny.
Those who need not and should not be defended are those who consciously choose not to be pacifists. Lefebvre and his disciples need never fear some libertarian will use methods they find repugnant to defend them. Perhaps they can wear a dove button for quick recognition. far more important is what to do with the violent initiator after defense. The case in which one's property is violated successfully and one is not there to protect it comes readily to mind. And finally, though actually a special case of the above, is the possibility of fraud and other forms of contract violation. The cases may be settled by the primitive shootout or socially, that is, through the intervention of a third party who has no vested interest in either of the two parties to the dispute. This case is a fundamental problem of society. Any attempt to force a solution against the wishes to both parties violates libertarian principles. So a shootout involving no risk to third parties is technically acceptable, but hardly profitable or efficient or even civilized, aesthetically pleasing, save for a few cultists. The solution then requires a judge, fair witness, or arbiter. Once an arbiter to dispute or judge of an aggression has performed judgment and communicated the decision, enforcement may be required. Pacifists may choose arbitration without enforcement, by the way. Might be a little bit more expensive. Logically, since the arbiter is held back from being able to enforce anything. Yep. The following market system has been proposed by Rothbard, Linda, and Morris, Townhill, and others. It need not be definitive and may be improved by advances in theory and technology, as this author has already done. At this stage of history, it seems optimal and is presented here as the beginning working model. First, always leaving out these two choices not to participate, one insures oneself against aggression or theft. One can even assign a value to one's life in case of a murder or inadvertent manslaughter, which may range from the taking of a violence initiator's life to taking replaceable organs, technology willing, to restore life to the payment to the foundation to continue one life's work.
Eye for an eye.
Eye for an eye. That's most likely what it would be like. I mean, in the contractual private law society, if you murder somebody, most likely you will have to be executed. Right? That's just unfortunate, but I mean, this is also justice. Right? I mean,
justice served.
Justice served, right? I mean, you kill somebody, you deserve to get killed. You steal a loaf of bread, you deserve to pay back that loaf and any kind of cost that it may have done extra, you know, to find your ass, to get you to court, you know. So, I mean, this is why this would be the best way to, if you want to worry about gangs taking over and you want to worry about people stealing, this is the best way to do it with you know, with technology and with third-party arbiters.
You don't have people who pay taxes to pay for them to be punished.
Was that?
You don't have people who pay taxes to pay them to be punished.
Yeah.
So,
basically,
yeah.
You
can for working class. We're not paying for that to be punished.
Right. Yeah, that's not the point. That's what we're doing now. I mean, we're paying to have people punished. Essentially, they don't restore. The government doesn't restore your lost property, your stolen property. Misplaced, right? Lost. No, your stolen property doesn't restore it. They don't bring back people, you know, their limbs or their organs to replace them for some kidneys stabbed. I mean, in the end, you have to deal with insurance. In the end, you have to deal with arbiters. In the end, you have to deal with the market. Not this monopoly of force and violence. So here we got about 2 pages left. We're in section 3, 2, 1 of the New Libertarian Manifesto. We're in section 2. What is agorism? The agorist, agorism, argle. And he continues on here. A finds property missing and reports it to A, right? Here's an example of what might take place here. Oh, here's the last sentence too. I'm sorry, I'm jumping here in a sentence. What is crucial here, right, after talking about the extracting of organs if someone kills somebody, right? What is crucial here is that the victim assigns the value to his life, body part, and property before the mishap. Exchangeable goods may simply be replaced at market rate. So yeah, you gotta obviously insure wherever you're wanting to protect. This is no different than what we're dealing with nowadays. I mean,
Yeah.
you have something stolen from you, the cops aren't going to get it back for you. All they're going to do is punish the guy that stole it, and then you're still going to have insurance. If you don't have insurance, too bad, so sad. So you're getting charged twice now, actually. You're getting charged for the insurance, which you would have to pay for in a free society anyway, and then you're paying for the state as goons to run around and imprison people, and then you're paying for the jails, and then you're paying to feed these people to keep them punished. It's just a whole bunch of waste of money.
Paying for the cable in prison.
Yeah. So here's an example. A finds property missing and reports it to the insurance company, IA. IA, either through another division or through a separate detective agency, D, investigates. IA promptly replaces the object to A so that the loss of use of good is minimalized. D now may fail to discover the missing property. In that case, a loss to IA is covered by the premiums paid for by the insurance. Note that in order to keep premiums low and competitive, IA, insurance agency A, IA has a strong incentive to maximize retrieval of stolen or lost goods. One could wax eloquent for volumes on the lack of such incentive for monopoly detection systems such as state police forces and their horrendous social costs. Yeah, that's barely what we were getting into. If D does discover the detective agency to discover the goods, say in B's possession, and B freely returns them, perhaps induced by reward, the case is closed. Only if B claims property right and the object also claimed by A does a conflict arise. B has an insurance company as well, IB, which may perform its own independent investigation and convenience IA, that is that D erred, that is the detection agency erred. Failing that, IA and IB are now in conflict. At this point, the standard objections to the market anarchy have been brought up that the war between A and B has been enlarged to include large insurance companies, which may have sizable protection divisions or contracts with protection companies, PA and PB, protection A and protection B. So people will bring up at this point, you start mentioning this to syndicalists, right? The idea of a private law society, a private defense society, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, like, so, you know, someone steals something from Walmart, and now you have all these defense agencies, you know, coming in and waging war and throwing grenades at each other. Yeah. And they obviously don't understand how the market works. I mean, is insurance battling it out with Geico? You know, even though insurance has to pay up to Geico, are they blowing each other up?
Not right now, not really.
Not really, because it would be expensive to do that. That costs a lot of money. You're supposed to be making profit here, so you sometimes you're going to lose when it comes to insurance. It's just a given. Like the company knows that's built into the business model. It knows that at some point it's going to have to pay out on an insurance claim. This is right. I mean,
there's always this debate I was bringing up in the past about student loans, for instance. What local banks were competing with student loans for college students? Will they be doing that with
instead of just federal?
No government. Yeah, the student loans. How do you think their kids go to college? The congressmen and senators off the student loan debt that we're paying for. Yeah. So they're going to the Harvard and all that for free, Oxford, everything around the world.
Oh yeah.
And there's no competition there because you're set at a percentage rate in interest. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Not fighting, battling out in a good way. Because since they're actually trying to help people out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're going to those nice Ivy League schools, all up on our money.
Yeah. 6.55% is what I'm stuck at my student loans for the past 3 years. That's it. That's the lowest you can get. 6.55%. Imagine having $100,000 of student loan debt stuck at that percent.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you voluntarily fell into that, right? I mean, you thought you were going to be a doctor and save the world and be able to make $1 million a year, you know?
Like in 12th grade, they came in there from DeVry University, from one of these colleges, had a projector, passed out pamphlets, and said, yeah, if you got to go to college, you have to do this, you know, if you want that, you have to do this. They tried really hard to get the young minds to fall for it.
It's a big money scheme.
Yeah.
It's a big freaking money scheme.
Ridiculous.
And then they're gonna, and then it's not only is a money scheme from the, I mean, and I'm assuming this is all government, right? Loans, student loans that are this high, and then they're gonna, and then what's Occupy calling for? Well, let's just have a big, massive student loan forgiveness. They just write it off. Who's gonna pay? Who's gonna pay that? The taxpayer.
Yeah, exactly.
Taxpayer. So either way, we're all screwed with this, right? I mean, it's most likely going to be passed on to the taxpayer, to the working class, and to those that pay their taxes, that are stuck in the system. At the white market job, their taxes are going to go up. Property taxes are going to go up. Everything's going to go up. It constantly has been. They're at least finally.
The cost of housing, living, the mortgages, property. When you want to sell property, you want to buy everything.
Yeah.
Buying someone's going to go up. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least the Fed's thinking about what they're thinking. They're saying they're going to stop quantitative easing now, or slow it down, or something. But I mean, damage is done. We haven't even felt the repercussions of that yet. I mean, I can't even imagine what they were doing with all that printed money. I mean, who are they buying off with all that? I mean, how many Syrian rebels are they funding? You know,
the whole entire region, the whole area. They're trying to fund everybody with that.
Well, yeah, definitely, man. I mean, that's just the way the U.S. foreign policy has worked. I mean, Brzezinski, right? Zygmunt Brzezinski. We need to destabilize regions in the world in order to justify. You send money by funding rebels, they destabilize a certain area, and then you have the reason to invade it. Oh, we got to bring in order. We got to, there's too much chaos over here. Terrorists, too many terrorists over here. There's a vacuum. We got to come in here. So I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just modus operandi 101, and we're all sitting here afraid. We're all stuck in our houses. We don't want to talk to other people. We don't want to go out. I mean, heck, if you need to put a couple beers in your system to get.
You want to go out and you have fun. You're very talkative and you're going out having fun. But when you're in public and not in a bar or something, you're not as talkative. It's like you got to be open-minded everywhere you are. At work, even at work, I talk to people about stuff like this. I'm walking around with the phone in my hand. I'm not afraid of whatever people hear what I say. I'm not afraid about what they have to think about me.
Oh, right.
You got to worry about. You don't have to worry about what people think about you. What you're saying. You're an individual. It's yourself. If they don't like it, they'll walk away or say something. Say what you want to say, and they'll probably walk away. Just keep on going. Don't fail. Don't stop. Keep doing it.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, the only thing we can say is, as a criticism to I know I went through this stage. Is you're kind of like blunt with people, right? You just you throw it out there, and with time you realize, okay, being tactful, being laying the steps and taking, expanding on the principles from more easy concepts, understandable concepts to more complex ones is the best way to go. I mean, you don't want to just unload.
It opens up the door for them.
Yeah.
Slowly it opens up the door, and then after that, maybe like a week or two later, they say, hey, I want to talk again, and bam, a new friendship happens, and it goes on and on. That's how it starts.
Yeah, definitely. So go out there, make some friends. Go out there, start a resistance in your local community, in your local town. Have readings, Bastiat readings. Read some Rothbard. Read some Kantian. Get around and talk about the principles of liberty, the principles of anarchy, and white people. Have bring your own beer sessions, potlucks. Build community. We're only going to get past the state if we build enough people to opt out, right? If we have enough of a community to opt out, and we have our own second realm, right? Our own Agora, right? Our own division of labor. So we definitely need to do that, ladies and gentlemen. And you guys are always welcome here in San Antonio, Alamo Town. If you're ever in the area, call me up, shoot me a message, and gladly treat you like family, because we are a family. We're all part of the human race, and so long as you're not living off of coercion, hey, you know what? I embrace you, and I really, it doesn't matter to me. Anything, your race, your age, your sexual orientation, your religious beliefs, whatever, man. You ain't living off of theft. You ain't living off of stealing. I might find you annoying or whatever, but
yeah, that's gonna happen.
Some people, they get a little carried away. But I'm sure I'm annoying to some people too. But hey, I hope we weren't being annoying tonight. Yeah. And I know a lot of the people on the Voluntary Virtues Network show are definitely not annoying. So check them out. And we will be back next week, ladies and gentlemen, with the new Libertarian Manifesto.
Thank you for having me.
We do appreciate y'all. Hey, no problem, Steve. Thank you for coming in here with us. And you guys know the routine. Agora, anarchy, action, ladies and gentlemen.